One of the big stories we're tracking for you this weekend, the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal finally expected to hold its elective conference following numerous postponements. So that gathering will give an indication of how the governing party's leadership succession race will unravel in December. Premier Sihle Zikalala is up against Finance MEC Nomusa Dube-Ncube and businessman Sandile Zungu for the position of provincial chair. The ANC's KZN leaders said that they expect the conference to go ahead without any problems. And let's get you some analysis now. We're joined by Professor Bheki Mngomezulu, who joins us via our video link. Prof, always great to have you with us on the program. Thanks very much for coming on. It's such an anticipated conference, this 9th provincial conference in KZN. And of course, the implications of what unfolds in that province is not only important there, but has an effect on what happens nationally for the governing party.
Thank you very much, my sister, for having me, and good morning to your viewers. You are absolutely right that if you have a conference in KwaZulu-Natal, be it a regional conference or a provincial conference, it doesn't really get confined to the geographical boundaries of the province, but it goes on to every corner of South Africa. And the reason is very simple. KwaZulu-Natal is the biggest province of the ANC, and eThekwini region is the biggest region of the ANC nationally. So therefore, the stakes will always be high whenever there is a conference happening in KwaZulu-Natal. And this time around, it's even more critical because you would recall that there have been calls for the president to step down, and then there might be people who would see that as an opportunity for them to challenge the president. In KwaZulu-Natal itself, there have been a number of challenges which will then make other people believe that the time is ripe for new blood to be infused into the system. So that is why then this conference is very important. And thirdly, there is this step-aside resolution which has affected a number of people in KwaZulu-Natal. And then there are people who are saying that this conference then should make a decision as to how they want to proceed with this particular resolution. And then whatever decision that is taken at the provincial conference will, as you correctly pointed out, have an impact on what then happens at the ANC's elective conference in December.
Yeah, you're talking about what we're going to see unfolding insofar as a number of other people are concerned. You mentioned the step-aside resolution, and obviously there are a number of people that come to mind, but including Sihle Zikalala and Sandile Zungu. What will the conference this weekend in KZN determine about what their roles will be?
It's always difficult to predict what's going to happen, but from what you are hearing, there are already people in KwaZulu-Natal, both in the PEC and in the ANC Youth League, and in fact in some regions, who are saying that this step-aside resolution should be revisited. In fact, a view which I share, and I'm on record having said this on several occasions, that if the ANC is serious about its renewal agenda, one of the things it has to do is to put this resolution on ice, because it is creating a lot of confusion, not just to us as the general public, but to the ANC itself. You would recall what happened at the ANC's provincial conference in Mpumalanga, where after the treasurer of the province was in fact emerged victorious, then there was a question as to why was he elected, why did he avail himself at the time when he was affected by the step-aside resolution. Then immediately thereafter, you had the regional conference of KwaZulu-Natal in eThekwini, where Sandile Zungu also emerged victorious. The same questions were asked. And then the ANC realized that there was something in fact serious happening. Then they decided to convene, and then they amended the resolution. But even that amendment did not assist anyone. You remember what Minister Nathi Mthethwa said at the time, and what Paul Mashatile said at the time. They were basically singing from different hymn books, meaning that they were interpreting the resolution the way they understood it. Now, if leaders of the ANC have confusion about the resolution, what about you and I, who is sitting out there looking at this issue? And then, as if that was not enough, just recently, Paul Mashatile saw it necessary to issue a directive sent to the ANC provinces in the country, trying to further explain what the resolution means. So the reality of the matter then is this step-aside resolution is a problem to the ANC, and they have to revisit it.
I want to talk more about the influence that the province wields over what unfolds in the ANC's elective conference in December. Is it fair to say, Prof, that that influence has been waning? I mean, if we just take a look at the top six of the ANC, KZN doesn't feature there.
You know what, my sister? You are absolutely right. The influence of KwaZulu-Natal has been waning, and this is not because of anybody's making, but the province has itself to blame. If you look at what happened in 2017, KwaZulu-Natal was the biggest province of the ANC, followed by Mpumalanga, which displaced the Eastern Cape, because all along it was KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, and then Mpumalanga. But then all of a sudden, Mpumalanga, in fact, took over from the Eastern Cape, but KwaZulu-Natal still retained position 1. So under normal circumstances, then even if you didn't do maths, you only did math lit, you would be able to tell that the numbers, in fact, allowed KZN to have a commanding voice. But the reason why KZN failed to get even one seat in the top 6 is because it went there disjointed. A mistake which is about to happen right now if they don't correct the situation over this weekend. Because had they gone there as a collective, then they stood a better chance of getting at least 2 people joining the top 6, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, incredible weeks of horse trading that we've seen in the build-up to this elective conference, haven't we? At one stage, and you've said this yourself, Prof, there were 5 candidates punted for every one of the top 5 positions in the province. What are your predictions for the outcomes? As you've already said to us, it's very, very difficult to make any predictions at all in light of the kind of horse trading we've seen to date.
You know, my sister, will be able to make some predictions after, in fact, later today, once we know for sure who the candidates are. Because all along, there have been speculations. We know that Sihle Zikalala wants to come for the second term. That is not a secret. But we also know that Nomusa Dube-Ncube, the current provincial treasurer, wants to come in, and she's getting support from a number of branches. And then there is this third element, which is a bit puzzling for me, Sandile Zungu, the owner of Mngomezulu. At one point, he indicated that he was joining the race, and then after that, he announced that he was pulling out. And then just recently on Tuesday, he made a formal announcement that he's back in the race. The question then becomes, is he genuinely joining the race, or is there something cooking that you and I don't know? That is something we are yet to see. And then, of course, at one point, the likes of Dr. The doctor from Newcastle, his name also came in. That is, and then, of course, at another point, Bheki name came in. So we don't know for sure until the official list has been announced. Then we'll be able to put 1 and 1 together and see if we get 11 or we get 2.
Political analyst, Professor Bheki Mngomezulu, as always, a pleasure talking to you. Thanks very much indeed. It's all in the build-up to that much-anticipated 9th provincial conference taking place in KwaZulu-Natal today.